The story kicks off with some bizarre alien creatures emerging from the ocean and creeping into the city, which are known as Parasyte. Right after that, we see a guy fast asleep next to his wife when one of these alien parasites sneaks in and crawls straight into his ear. The second it gets inside, the man starts thrashing around in pure agony, but just moments later, he completely blacks out and goes right back to sleep. Next, we meet our main character, a teenage boy named Shinichi, who is chilling in his room listening to music with his headphones plugged in. Out of nowhere, another alien parasite creeps up on him and tries to slide into his ear canal, but thanks to his headphones blocking the way, it gets totally shut out. Since it can't find a way in through his ear, the creature shifts gears and tries to force its way up Shinichi's nose instead. Feeling something weird tickling his nose, Shinichi suddenly snaps awake, grabs the creepy crawly with his bare hand, and flings it across the room. But the stubborn parasite doesn't give up and charges right back at him, so a terrified Shinichi grabs a nearby book and tries to smash it. Instead of crushing it, the creature bites into his hand and burrows right under his skin, traveling straight up his arm toward his upper body. Panicking out of his mind, Shinichi quickly grabs a piece of rope and ties it tightly around his arm to block the parasite from reaching the rest of his body. Having the alien trapped inside his arm causes Shinichi absolute agony, and he screams out in pure pain. Hearing his frantic screams, his mother rushes into the room, and a terrified Shinichi tells her that some kind of bug just crawled deep inside his hand. However, when Shinichi's mom checks his hand, there is absolutely nothing there, making her think he's just playing a dumb prank on her before she walks away. This leaves Shinichi completely stressed out, wondering where that creepy creature could have vanished to. The next morning at breakfast, he starts feeling this incredibly bizarre sensation in his right hand, the exact one the parasite had burrowed into. Right after that, the scene shifts to the guy who had the parasite crawl into his ear the night before, and he's now acting completely out of his mind. His eyes are rolled back and completely unfocused, making it obvious that he's lost all control over his own body. When he approaches his wife, his face suddenly splits wide open into a massive, terrifying mouth lined with multiple twitching eyeballs. Before his wife can even process what is happening, the creature bites her head off in a single brutal chomp. This reveals the horrifying truth about these parasites. They crawl through a person's ear, take over their brain, and completely hijack their entire body to use as a puppet. Back with Shinichi, he's walking to school with his girlfriend, but he's acting totally weird because he has zero control over his right hand. The hand starts moving completely on its own, awkwardly touching his girlfriend before suddenly grabbing her inappropriately, which leaves her furious as she storms off. Later in class, Shinichi accidentally drops his eraser on the floor, and when he reaches down, it's too far out of his grasp. Out of nowhere, his arm literally stretches out like rubber and picks up the eraser all by itself, leaving him completely freaked out and unable to comprehend what is happening to his body. After school, he's playing basketball with his buddies and manages to sink a flawless, impossible shot from a massive distance, leaving everyone, including himself, completely mind-blown. Freaking out, Shinichi rushes home and starts digging through the internet for answers, but he finds absolutely nothing. Right then, a literal eyeball rips through the skin of his hand, looks around, and pops back inside the second Shinichi stares at it. Terrified and trembling, Shinichi grabs a knife, ready to hack into his own flesh where the eye appeared, but his hand suddenly transforms into a giant, menacing snake to intimidate him. A moment later, it shifts into a small, strange creature with a mouth of its own. Crying and completely losing his mind over what his hand has turned into, a terrified Shinichi asks it, "Who are you?" And to his absolute horror, the creature mimics his voice right back, replying, "Who are you?" The creature then drops a massive bombshell on Shinichi, revealing that it completely consumed his real right hand and now has literally taken its place. Cut to the guy who had just chomped his wife's head off. He is now casually chilling in front of the TV, intensely studying human language and behavior, while in the background, we see he has completely devoured the rest of his wife's body. The next morning, Shinichi wakes up to find the creature hijacking his laptop and flipping through books, desperate to learn everything about human life. Shinichi tells it he is going straight to the hospital to get his hand amputated to rid himself of it, but the creature casually shoots him down, saying, "Sure, you can do that, but you'll lose your arm forever, and I know you don't have the guts." It then explains that its original plan was to hijack his entire brain, but because Shinichi tied that rope around his arm just in time, it got trapped in his hand, meaning they are now permanently stuck together. It reassures him not to freak out, because their survival is linked. If Shinichi dies, it dies too. Finally, losing his fear, Shinichi asks its name, and the creature replies, "You can just call me Migi." Once they hit school, Migi keeps speed reading through tons of books to understand humans better, proving to be insanely intelligent. When Shinichi steps out of class, Migi spots some students practicing martial arts and effortlessly mimics their fighting moves, downloading those skills instantly. Later, during art class, Migi takes the wheel and uses Shinichi's hand to draw a flawless, stunning portrait of his girlfriend. She walks in, completely blown away by the drawing, and forgives him for the awkward grabbing incident from before, though she warns him that if he ever touches her like that again, she will literally end him. After school, while Shinichi is chilling in the bathtub, Migi insists on doing a full physical examination of his body, ignoring his protests and casually roasting him, showing that the two are actually starting to form a bizarre comedic friendship. Meanwhile, out in the city, things are getting apocalyptic as more possessed humans are brutally butchered and eaten by other parasites, spreading absolute panic through the news, though nobody can figure out who or what is behind the slaughter. One day at the market, Migi suddenly senses the frequency of another parasite nearby. Shinichi tries to brush it off, but Migi drags him into a sketchy restaurant where they spot a terrifying possessed guy actively devouring raw human meat. The monster locks eyes with Shinichi and instantly senses the parasite inside his arm, casually offering him a bite of the human flesh. When Shinichi violently rejects it, the creature realizes that Migi failed to take over Shinichi's brain and is only stuck in his arm, meaning they are now destined to be killed.
Before Shinichi can even process what is happening, Migi instantly senses that this guy is moving in for the kill and screams, "Get out of here, now!" But the exit is blocked and Shinichi is totally trapped. The possessed guy steps up, slices off one of his own hands, and tells Migi to abandon Shinichi's weak body and merge with him instead. Having grown fond of Shinichi and liking his current setup, Migi coldly shuts him down with a flat no. Losing his mind with rage, the monster lunges at Shinichi, forcing Migi into action to protect his host. Channeling the martial arts moves he had just memorized at school, Migi counters with lightning speed, slicing the parasite's head clean off and dropping him right on the spot. Hearing footsteps approaching, a panicked Shinichi bolts out the back door and rushes home, keeping his mother completely in the dark about the horror he just witnessed. Meanwhile, the local news is flooded with reports of people vanishing without a trace, leaving the police completely clueless, making Shinichi the only human in the entire city who knows these people are being hunted and eaten. When a frustrated Shinichi asks Migi why he can't just stop his own kind from murdering people, Migi casually reasons, "Humans kill and eat animals and plants just to survive. We eat humans for the exact same reason, so what's the big deal? Besides, since I don't control your whole body, I just live off the food you eat, meaning I don't need to hunt." The next day at school, Migi's internal radar goes off again, alerting Shinichi that their new female teacher is actually a disguised parasite. The teacher locks eyes with Shinichi and immediately realizes he hosts a parasite in his arm too. After the final bell rings, she pulls Shinichi aside into an empty room and tells him not to panic, explaining that she is only there to blend into human society and study their behavior. Then she drops a massive secret, revealing that she deliberately got pregnant by another parasite just to experiment and see whether the baby will turn out human or monster. She takes him to meet two other hidden parasites, one passing as a high school student and the other disguised as a police officer. The teacher explains that the three of them have formed a tight network to share intel and survive among humans, and she offers Shinichi a spot in their circle. When Shinichi flatly rejects the offer, she coldly threatens him, saying, "Suit yourself, but if you breathe a single word about who we really are to anyone, we will make sure you don't make it out alive." Before leaving, the parasite disguised as a police officer glares at Shinichi with deep suspicion, prompting Migi to warn him that while the teacher seems calm, something is seriously off with the cop, so he needs to stay alert. Sure enough, on Shinichi's walk home, the rogue officer ambushes him in the middle of the street, furious after discovering that Shinichi was the one who killed their parasite comrade at the restaurant. Migi blocks the lethal strike just in time, diving into a brutal showdown with the cop. As the fight escalates, Shinichi uses his wits, finding a window to plunge a sharp iron rod straight into the officer's stomach. With the human host severely weakened, the parasite collapses to the ground. Shinichi immediately bolts for home, but as the cop's bleeding body shuts down, the parasite slips out to hunt for a new vessel, hijacking Shinichi's own mother, who tragically happens to be walking the exact same road.
Meanwhile, back in his room, Shinichi is drowning in intense guilt over killing a human, but Miki suddenly snaps him out of it, warning him that the cop's parasite signature is fast approaching. Terrified and confused as to how the dead cop returned, Shinichi grabs a knife and hides in a corner, just as his mother walks in acting completely lifeless and bizarre. Miki instantly realizes her brain has been taken over and moves in to eliminate her, but a devastated Shinichi holds him back because he loves his mother more than life itself. Suddenly, a horrific twist occurs as his mother transforms into a monster and drives a lethal spike right through Shinichi's heart. As Shinichi lies dying on the floor, Miki detaches from his hand and enters the chest cavity to repair the catastrophic internal damage. Hours later, Shinichi wakes up and rushes to the mirror, only to find his chest completely unscarred. Miki explains that he saved his life by transplanting some of his own cells into Shinichi's heart, but instead of feeling relieved, Shinichi is consumed by a burning rage for revenge, since his mother is now a monster's puppet. Infused with Miki's cells, Shinichi becomes vastly stronger and more aggressive, hunting the city for the killer. His search leads him to a political rally where he's shocked to sense that a top politician running for office is actually a hidden parasite, realizing that if this creature becomes mayor, the entire city is doomed. The next day at school, a new transfer student shows up, who turns out to be another parasite sent by the teacher to spy on Shinichi. The boy acts like they're total strangers meeting for the first time, while the teacher watches the drama unfold from above. Back home, Miki drops a massive warning, explaining that repairing Shinichi's heart has exhausted his cells, meaning he now needs to enter a deep coma-like sleep for 4 hours every day, leaving Shinichi completely defenseless. As Miki blacks out, the police, swamped by mountains of bodies across the city, finally discover a bizarre way to identify the monsters. Pulling a strand of hair from a parasite host will cause the hair to squirm on its own like a live maggot. The police broadcast this trick on national television, giving the public a real weapon to spot the creatures. The very next day, chaos erupts at school when a girl casually plucks a hair from the new transfer student's head during art class, only for everyone to watch in horror as the hair twists and moves like a living snake. Realizing his cover is blown, the parasite student drops the act, morphs into his terrifying true form, and unleashes a bloodbath on the screaming classroom. Hearing the blood-curdling screams from the classroom, Shinichi bolts down the hallway to save the girls, while the parasite teacher instantly realizes her student spy's cover is blown. Inside the chaos, Shinichi's girlfriend locks down her fear, grabs chemical bottles from the lab, and smashes them right into the monster's face. Blinded and burning from the toxic chemicals, the parasite completely loses it, slashing wildly into thin air. By the time Shinichi crashes through the door, several girls are already dead, and the creature is closing in on her girlfriend. Shinichi tackles the beast to the ground, sparking a frantic brawl just as the parasite teacher walks in. Seeing her students' reckless slaughter, she flies into a rage, realizing this sloppy attack could expose her entire network. Risking no loose ends, she cold-bloodedly drops a bomb into the room and flees the scene. Seconds before detonation, Shinichi scoops his girlfriend into his arms and dives clean out of a third-story window, just as a massive explosion rips through the floor above. Amazingly, the parasite student survives the blast, but is left severely broken. Down on the pavement, Shinichi's girlfriend stares at him in absolute shock, because despite leaping from 3 stories up, he doesn't have a single scratch, making her dead certain that Shinichi is one of the monsters.
Moments later, as the police swarm the blast site, the mangled parasite student ambushes a cop, kills him, and scrambles toward the roof. Outside, Mingi's radar pings, warning Shinichi that the creature is still breathing and hiding on the school's rooftop. Shinichi races to the adjacent building, transforms Migi into a massive high-tech bow, and lets fly a devastating arrow that instantly obliterates the parasite student. Shinichi then confronts the parasite teacher, demanding the location of the rogue cop. When she claims he already killed him, Shinichi fires back, saying, "I killed his body, but that monster hijacked my mother and I'm going to put it down." The teacher hands over an address, and the moment Shinichi arrives, he finds himself standing face to face with his mother. Her eyes are completely hollow, totally possessed by the alien parasite. Right as the ultimate showdown is about to pop off, Migi's 4-hour coma hits him out of nowhere. Before blacking out, Migi transforms Shinichi's right hand into a razor-sharp blade, meaning Shinichi has to survive this life-or-death battle completely solo. Immediately, his monster mother transforms and lunges with lethal force, sending Shinichi into a desperate struggle for survival. After trading brutal blows, Shinichi finds an opening to deliver the final strike, but right before he cuts her down, he suddenly hears his mother's real voice. In a miraculous moment, she recaptures consciousness and smiles at her son. But the parasite violently breaks her control again, forcing her body to deliver a fatal counterattack. To save her son, his mother uses her own hand to physically block the parasite's strike mid-air, causing blood to spray everywhere. As she rapidly bleeds out, both she and the parasite inside grow critically weak. Seizing this agonizing window, an absolutely heartbroken Shinichi delivers a single devastating slash that slays the parasite, ending his mother's life along with it. Cut to the aftermath. The parasite politician pulls off an election victory to become the city's brand new mayor, putting the entire population in extreme jeopardy. Finally, as a scarred Shinichi visits his girlfriend in the hospital, a mysterious figure watches from the shadows, snapping secret photos of Shinichi and Migi to kick off the dark next chapter. Man, that ending was an absolute emotional roller coaster. But with a parasite now officially running the mayor's office, the real nightmare has just begun. Everything is about to go down in Parasyte Part 2, and you seriously do not want to miss the insane twists coming up next. So, if you're ready for the ultimate showdown, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications. Thanks for watching Liza's movie recap, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.